Om Sri Sai Ram. Om Sri Sai Nadhaya Namaha. Om Sri Sai Parabrahmane Namaha. Sai came to Shirdi and he stayed there for a while, right? And then even after he left his body, he stayed in Shirdi itself. So he told us that he's going to do the same things that he was doing when he was in flesh. So we worship him and we adore him and we ask him a lot of things, and he fulfills all of our wishes. But we talked about this in the past, that of course he was fulfilling our wishes. What does he want us to do? What he wanted us to learn from his teachings. Main thing is his teachings changed the lives of people. How they changed the lives of people, if we read the Satcharita, we can understand that. There were so many incidents, circumstances, and a lot of story-like situations we read so many times. And not only that, even in our lives, we've seen so many miracles. People experienced personally so many things, and Sai touched their lives and protected their families. Why is all this happening? What does he want us to do? So the main thing is, he taught us in very simple terms that we need to help each other, we need to do good things, and we need to really take care of our community also. Like that, I mean, he taught us so many things, but all these things help us to purify our mind. But what does he really want us to do? The main thing is that he wanted us to reach the state of moksha. So all of us need to attain that moksha, that is like not going through this life and death, like born again and again kind of thing. He wanted us to avoid that so that we can attain moksha, so that we can go like away from this karmas. So how he taught us, and why was that very difficult for us as human beings? It's so difficult because we're pulled in different directions every day. We have responsibilities, and we need to take care of our family. So it became so tough to do certain things that he asked us. But there are ways. There are so many ways that he showed us how to do them. He never asked us to quit the family or move away from the family or take sannyas. He didn't say that. He said stay in the family and do certain things in the right way. So today we're going to talk about why was it so difficult for us to follow that path. Usually, to understand that, we need to understand ourselves. What do we have in our body? What do we have inside us? How do we think? How do we react to each and everything in our daily life? Those are the things that we need to really understand. So how can we understand? our scriptures, our sastras, told us how to look inside the body. If we divide the body, we can divide that into three things, three sariras they call. One is called the stula sarira. That means the gross body which we see outside. And the next level is called sukshma sarira. Sukshma sarira means subtle body. So the third one is called causal body, that is called karana sarira. So these are the three bodies that we all have. How much we understand these bodies will influence us, how we react in our lives, how we reach our goals, and how we take care of our family, and how we take care of ourselves. So understanding these three bodies is so important. So today we are going to learn about these three bodies. And after understanding this, I think definitely we can take care of ourselves much better. This is how a lot of gurus teach. A lot of disciples learn, and how they lead their lives in the ashramas also depend on these three bodies. So let's go through one by one right now. The first one I said is Stula Sarira. That means the gross body. What do we have in there? We see with our eyes outside, like we have the skin, and then we have the flesh, and then when we go deeper, we can see the blood inside, and then there are like bones, and inside the bones there is what is called majja. It's called marrow, bone marrow. And then there is another one called sukla. So these are they are called sapta dhatus, 7 elements that are present in everybody's body, every living being. These are the things. So, but what happens when people die? When people die, do we have all these 7 in there? Some of them are active, some of them are not active. But after we die, everything becomes really, really inert, and then it decays, and then it kind of mixes with, if we leave it like that, it mixes with the soil, right? And then we cremate the bodies if there's no life in them. So these 7 elements are there. How did these 7 elements came around? How did they form? What is in the universe? What is outside? There are 5 elements, right? There is earth, and then water, there is fire, and there is air, and then there is space. Only these 5 elements constitute and put together, we can relate those 5 things to the body also. So that is called in the Sanskrit, it's called Panchikaranam. Pancha means 5. We call prapancham, right? Prapancham means pancha. Pancha, if it is made up of panchabhutas, it's called prapancham. So that is why we call it prapancham. So the same panchabhutas are inside this body. There are 2 kinds of panchabhutas. One is the expressed variety of it. That's how we see it in our physical body. There is one more unexpressed kind of thing. I mean, it's not expressed. That is inside the next called sukshma sarira. So if we look at our body, the way we react, the food that we eat, what happens is it gives the energy, it is in the form of the blood, It goes everywhere into the whole system. And what you eat is what you're going to be, how you think. So your food habits, how you eat, are going to dictate how you're going to behave, how you're going to think. So the physical body is so important, how you take care of yourself. Like if you don't have exercise, that means like there's a lot of tamoguna. When you have tamoguna, that's it. I mean, your body is going to be very lazy and you're not going to react well to a lot of things. So there is a balance that is required. Like in the earth, when we watch in the universe, everything is in a balance. In a similar way, our body has to be in a balance too. So when our body doesn't cooperate, we cannot do a lot of things. When we get sick, we cannot do a lot of things. So just keep that in mind. With that introduction, we move to the next level. That is called the Sukshma Sarira. That is called the subtle body. What is in the subtle body? The subtle body consists of, like, some of the gurus say 17 tattvas, or some of them say 19 tattvas, but it's all the same. What are those in the Sukshma Sarira? Sukshma Sarira has, like, if you take like 5 Gnanendriyas, where we smell, like we feel the touch, like that, I mean, the Gnanendriyas, see with things, hear things, like that. And then Karmendriyas, 5 Karmendriyas, with which we perform a lot of duties with our hands, legs, and those kind of things, I mean, with our speech. Like that, 5 of them, we do things. We have to do our karmas through these 5 karmendriyas. So 5 gnanendriyas and 5 karmendriyas. And then there are pancha pranas. Prana, apana, samana, vyana, udana. We talked about these also in the past. So just remember those. So altogether, until now, it's 15 of them. And some of them say that mano buddhi are the 17. Or we can say antakarana, like manas, buddhi, chitta, and ahankara. All these put together as like 19 of them. All these 19 tattvas will make the Sukshma Sarira. So the next one is the causal body, that is Karana Sarira. What is Karana Sarira? The Karana Sarira is responsible, or it becomes the cause, it becomes the Karana for the gross bodies, that is Stula Sarira, and the subtle body, that is Sukshma Sarira. These two are related to the Karana Sarira. So what does Karana Sarira mean? To understand that, we need to go to the universe, like how it is formed. We talked about that in the past also, like when there is that universal energy that is called Chaitanya was there, with which the Maya combined, then it became the universe. Without Maya, it's just a Chaitanya. It is called Parabrahma. With the Maya, it is called Iswara. So the gods that we worship, Brahma, Vishnu, Maheswara, all of them came from that Ishvara Tattva. When they came out, that's why they have their counterparts like Lakshmi, Parvati, and Saraswati, like that. So these counterparts are nothing but related to the Prakriti or Maya. So when it is combined with that Maya, then we call it as the universe. That Maya itself is creating this entire universe, is responsible. So in a similar way, that Maya inside us is called the Karana Sarira, without which we're not going to take birth, so without which we don't have any death also. So that is the Karana Sarira with the Maya. So the Sukshma Sarira and Karana Sarira go together. When we die, what happens to us? This physical body falls down, collapses on the ground. And then what goes from us? What is there that goes out? The Karana Sarira together with the Sukshma Sarira are the main ones that are important here. So the Sukshma Sarira has everything. What we learned through our Gnanendriyas, what we did with our Karmendriyas, all those are in the form of karmas. Those are called vasanas. Those vasanas will lead us to the next life. So when we die, sometimes, some of the Shastras say that we're just around that body there for a couple of days. So we don't know that is truth or not, but at least, that's what our Puranas talk about. But anyhow, that Karana Sarira and Sukshma Sarira, what they do is, like we take the form of this body, they take some kind of astral bodies with which we think that we are experiencing Swargaloka, we are experiencing Narkaloka, or we are experiencing or born in the form of an animal, in the form of a tree or something like that. So those are all the experiences which are given to us by this Sukshma Sarira because of the karmas that we performed. So knowing, why do we need to know all these three things? Because our life will depend on the Sukshma Sarira mostly. This Sukshma Sarira, what we do is very important. That's why Baba really emphasized how to conduct our lives, how to do things around us. Say, for example, he told us that, what are the main things like, before we go into that? The main things that bother us all the time in our lives is some of the difficulties that we face, some of the tough times that we have every day, or our expectations. When we expect something and if it does not happen, we tend to suffer. But if we train ourselves towards our goal, what do we want in our lives? Even as materialistically also, we need to set up some goals so that our expectations are realistic. But going through those realistic expectations will make it easy to reach this moksha also. That's why it's called dharmartha moksha, dharmartha kama mokshas. So we have to follow those 4 purusharthas. That's what Baba taught every time. The other difficulty that will really make us fall down is we get angry about some of the stuff. We get angry about other people. If we look at our lives carefully, in each and everybody's life, maybe most of the time we're good people. We care about other people. We are nice people. But there are certain times, maybe 1 or 2 people in our life, we do not like them, or they do not like us. Either way. So if they don't like us or we don't like them, it creates a problem. It creates a friction. It creates a conflict. So that's where we fall. So how do you interact with that? How do you take care of that? We have to know our mind. We have to know that if we think badly about somebody, if we think really in an ill way, we feel inside some kind of turmoil, When we feel the turmoil, it stays with us, maybe for a few minutes, few days, throughout our life. So it triggers response from us whenever we see those people, or they call us, or when we talk about them. It triggers so much response. So how is it related to this Sukshma Sarira there? So when you are interacting, when we want to see things with our eyes, we see a person and we hear a person talking. And then what happens is, with these Gnanendriyas, when we perceive those things, we make an impression about them. We put like a small vasana kind of thing in our brains. When it's like a hard drive in the computer. And whenever we see them, whenever we hear about them, then we retrieve that information and it creates our blood pressure to go up. So that's how we react. So what we need to do is that we have to learn to let it go. If we don't let it go, we're going to suffer. So mostly in our lives, one or two people will bother us. Can we forgive them? Or who are we to forgive them? If we believe in God, if God is everywhere, in everybody, who are we angry with? Why we want to punish ourselves by not forgiving them, by not letting it go? It's unnecessary. So everybody has to look into their life, and if we can start improving at least 1 degree at a time, then we will get better, definitely. We'll become peaceful. And then we always want change in our lives. If something is not right, we want to change that. But there is a reason why that happened. There is a reason why your kids are born to you. There is a reason why you got married to somebody. There is a reason why you have parents. So it didn't happen just like that. You can't just get rid of it. It's a karma-related thing. It's a God's given thing. So if you want to avoid that, even next life also you have to go through that. This is where the conflict comes. So this Sukshma Sarira is so important in understanding these elements, how you interact and how you think. When Baba taught us, you remember that story, there was a rich man who comes to Shirdi to learn about the Brahmagnana. We will see that in a different angle today. Mostly we talked about how greedy he was, and he didn't want to give those 5 rupees to Baba. So he was very greedy. But that's not the issue today we're going to talk about. The issue is the angle that why that person just came to Baba in spite of having all the riches that he had. We all have a lot of things in our lives. Sometimes we don't have that peace, mental peace in our life. So we want that. So when you come there, there are certain things that you have to get rid of. To gain something, you have to get rid of something. What are the things that you get rid of? All the negative things that we really put on our minds. We have to get rid of them. Maybe we're not able to get rid of them, all of them at one time, but we have to study ourselves and try to get rid of them one by one. Even if you look at that story, he said the same things. He wanted us to give him 5 things. Even there, he talked about the Panchendriyas, Gnanendriyas, and then the pranas also. And then he said Mano, Buddhi, and Ahankaras also. So like that, he wanted us to get rid of those things. Why he paid attention to those things is not only to achieve the moksha, but to get moksha from our daily sorrows in everyday life. That's a practice. Without that practice and sadhana, we cannot really reach our goal. No matter how many pujas we can do, no matter how we worship God, all these things put together will probably purify our mind. So when we worship God, we need to ask for that purification, or we need to get rid of some of the qualities that bother us, some of the qualities that disturb other people because of us. When we learn those things, it will help us. There is another one story we can take from Ramayana also in relation to this. When Rama was asked to go to the jungle, the Aranyas, he was so happy to go because he wasn't angry with the Mandara, or he wasn't angry with the Kaika. He wanted to fulfill his father's wishes, because even though we know that that person is responsible for our sorrows, for our difficulties, if we think more about them, it will only make it worse. But if we follow, because those are related to our karma, because some good things might happen because of these difficulties also, like in Rama's life, the good things that have happened is he met so many rishis, he met so many munis, and so much gnana that he wanted to get. And then also he wanted to help the community and by killing all these demons. So in that way it helps. And then when he came back after finishing this ordeal in the jungles, he comes back, and the first person he wanted to see was Mandara and then Kaikeyi, right? So those two, because of them, he was able to go there and take care of a lot of things. But if you feel that they did a bad, terrible thing, then he couldn't have become Rama. In a similar way, that's what we need to learn. That's what Baba wanted us to learn. He said always that if you say bad things about other people, it is like saying bad things about me. So because God is everywhere, God is in everybody, so if you are criticizing somebody, then we are criticizing God. You are criticizing yourself. It is difficult, definitely, but we will succeed. We fail so many times because we got used to that kind of behavior, but we will succeed one day or the other. Another story that is relevant to this is the Prahlada story. We all learned about the Prahlada and Narasimha Swami. Hiranyakashipa was giving really hard time to Prahlada because he wanted to worship the Narayana, Vishnu, who is an enemy for Hiranyakashipa. So he gave him really a lot of difficult times, and then he made snakes bite him, and then elephants run over him. All kinds of things he did. What Prahlada believed was Narayana is everywhere, even in those elephants, even in those snakes. So he did not see any difference between these three bodies, the Stula Sarira, Sukshma Sarira, and Karana Sarira. He was beyond all those three bodies. That's why nothing bothered him. The fire did not burn him. Nothing was able to harm him because everything was Narayana Swarupa to him. We could be like that too, but we have to reach that stage. We have to work on that. We have to do a lot of sadhana for that. But it is possible, according to our sastras. So what happened after that? So he wanted him to show where is Narayana from a small pillar. I mean, Narayana comes out, we all know that story, and he kills the Hiranyakasipa. What happened afterwards? What happened after he killed all those demons? Not only he killed Hiranyakasipa, but he killed so many demons, Rakshasas, in that town. So what happened afterwards? Then Narayana calmed down, and then the city was kind of lost because it was destroyed by the Lord Narayana, and they have to rebuild. And Prahlada was going through this Narayana mantra all the time. And then the Devatas, what happened is that they got their Loka back, Swargaloka back from after Hiranyakasipa died. So there were no problems. But in this Prahlada's, he becomes the king for all the Rakshasas. But he did not take care of his kingdom. So what he did is mainly he was worshipping Narayana. When Narayana felt that, the Devatas said, all these Rakshasas are worshipping Narayana. If it continues like that, there is no difference between us. What's happening here? Or Narayana will bless them so that Devatas will lose their Swargaloka again. So after that, Narayana comes and then tells the Prahlada that, Prahlada, you need to cross these three bodies, the Sukshma Sarira, Karana Sarira, and the Sthula Sarira, and you have to go towards the moksha. And you need to do the Atma Vichara. That means, Atma Vichara means nothing but knowing all the three bodies put together and who you are. So he teaches that to him, and then he starts doing the Atma Vichara also. And then finally, he conquers these three bodies. And after he conquered those three bodies, he was able to really relish his kingdom and took care of all the things. There was a big story after that, how he took care of the kingdom. But anyhow, we're not going into the details about that. So in our lives also, we need to look at our three bodies, how we take care of them, analyze yourself, how we think. If there are negative things around us, those are the negative things that pull us down. When somebody is drowning and you have somebody helping you, if you pull that person also by fear, both of you are going to drown. So in a similar way, when we get angry with other people, when we gossip about other people, we pull our whole family down. We pull our whole thing down. Not only for this life, even for the next life onwards. Sometimes we wonder why this happens to me, why I'm suffering through all this, why I have all these difficulties. Because of all these things that we do not realize that we're doing some of the things that are not acceptable to our own self. When we do those things, we suffer either in this life or next life. So we have to be careful in what we say. We have to be careful in what we talk, really, and what we see. So understand these three bodies and think about them and try to improve ourselves like the way Baba showed us the path. With that, we will conclude the satsang today. Om Sri Sai Ram. Om Sri Sai Nadhaya Namaha. Om Sri Sai Parabrahmane Namaha. Om Sri Sachidananda Sadguru Sainath Maharaj Ki. Sainath Maharaj Ki. Sainath Maharaj Ki.